Doomslayer Rhino is a really popular crossover that has been done quite a few times across Warframe's lifespan. There's plenty of YouTube videos online of people combining the two characters, not only because of the cosmetic similarities, but also the fact that in Warframe you can make Rhino into somewhat of a Doomslayer replica. Personal favourite video of mine is by wellplayedninjas. He absolutely smashed a setup for this, combining a lot of the best elements from Rhino and, of course, Doom Eternal's version of the character. And because this combo has been done quite a few times across YouTube, and I also want to do it myself, I figured I'd try to do it in a bit of a unique way that's something a bit more fresh that you guys maybe haven't seen before. And what better way to do that than to focus on the upcoming Doom game, Doom the Dark Ages, and make use of currently the only footage we have of the new rendition of the character. Going off of the Dark Ages trailer, I wanted to take a look at the weaponry and abilities that we seem to be getting in the new version of the game, and see if I could replicate the Slayer's new upcoming playstyle in somewhat of a more updated Doom Guy Rhino setup. From the trailer we see a skull shrapnel based version of a fully automatic shotgun, and of course we see the Doomslayer with his new shield, which can be thrown and has saw blades spinning on the outside. Now, of course, most people when they're doing the Doomslayer cosplay for Rhino would go for the double barrel shotgun, and whilst I could do that and use the Tigris, I figured I'd go and sort of use a fully automatic shrapnel shotgun, just to be a bit different, and considering that the new weapon that's coming resembles something of a comb, especially within its fire rate. So as you can tell from the intro, we're using the Kuva comb as our shotgun, and the logical thing for my melee was to use a sword and shield, especially being the Sigma and Octantis due to not only its appearance but the fact that you can throw the shield. This isn't the only sword and shield in which you can throw said shield with its aerial attack, and I did try to make this work, but this throw attack on the swords and shields isn't very potent, and to me in the trailers it seems like throwing out your shield with its sword blades is going to be a big part of the combat, so I wanted this to be a big part and a powerful element of the Rhino's kit. So instead of focusing on making the Sigma's throw so strong, it was a no-brainer to me to go with a helmet setup that offered something similar. Enter Surging Blades, which is today's helmet choice. At first glance you may think this is a terrible ability, but combining this with its augment and the fact that it synergizes extremely well with Raw, you now possess the ability to throw out massive blades, doing massive slash damage across hordes of enemies. And we all know that Raw is absolutely perfect for anything slash based, and as you can see by the gameplay, this thing hits really hard. Of course, the general theme for this build in the video is to replicate the Dark Ages version of the Slayer, at least of what we've seen so far, and create not only a fun but a functional setup to use. And luckily Rhino is such a good and versatile Warframe that a lot of helmet setups are really easy to work on him, and this one is no different. At first glance you may think this is an impractical helmet setup based on the fact that Surging Blades isn't very popular. This build is very seamless and more than functional, and isn't just a gimmick. And there's a few ways you can make it even more accurate to that from what we see of the trailer. I chose to subsume off my Rhino charge because I don't really use it too much. However, I'm not really using Rhino Stomp in this build, so what you can do is adjust the build, get rid of Augur Secrets, subsume off Rhino Stomp instead and put Surging Blades in there, and then instead of Augur Secrets you could throw on the Rhino Charge Augment. That way you can boost up your Iron Skin way higher and be a bit more lore accurate to the trailer, because as you'll see, there is a charge forward mechanic with the Doomslayer shield. This is a playstyle choice. I haven't used the augment for Rhino Charge in a long time, but I do remember it being very good. It's just that Rhino's Iron Skin is already so powerful at base that honestly the augments in my opinion are a little bit overkill for most builds. The thing is basically a never-ending immortal shield gate anyway. The build is of course a blend between a large amount of strength and sustainability. Augur Secrets is definitely the flexible slot here, in case you guys really like to use Reinforcing Stomp. Just note that you're probably going to want to fit some range in here somewhere if you do want to use that augment. But as long as you keep your kill rate up and you're spamming your 1, you shouldn't have any energy issues whatsoever. Also, if you're enjoying the video so far, be sure to head over to my Twitch, link is in the description. This is where I do all my live streams. We play a bunch of Warframe and Apex Legends over there, but we're also dabbling in even more variety as of late, such as, COD, Black Ops 3 Custom Zombies. I'm just trying to have fun on the streams and build the community even more outside of Apex. And of course, as this channel grows, I want to get more of you guys from the Warframe community over there, so check it out if you're interested. Even though Surging Blades is our primary form of damage output, the Sigma and Octantis being a solid melee weapon is perfect for this setup because Surging Blades has to charge up its damage by hitting enemies directly with its spinning attack. So getting close to the enemies is really important, and whilst we're close we can make use of the Sigma and Octantis. It's a pretty good sword and shield, not the best melee in the game, but considering we were mainly just using this for the fact that it matches the appearance, It proves to be a pretty damn good melee weapon, and I opted for a very bog standard viral electric melee influence build. Of course, you can do aerial attacks and throw the shield at the enemies, but it doesn't do a lot of damage. This is mainly just for charging up our Surging Blaze damage and getting in close. And then of course we're also using the Kuva Comb for our primary. This has been one of my favourite weapons for a long time. I've always enjoyed fully automatic shotguns amongst a bunch of different video games. As the game has gone on and Kuva weapons have started getting outclassed by, the Incarna weapons, I'm aware that it's a bit harder to see people bothering using a weapon like this as much. But I make an argument for the fact that a lot of the Lich based weapons are still way more viable than a bunch of other available weapons in the game outside of the Incarnans. And much like everything with this build, this isn't the most optimal setup. The Kuva Comb is more than viable, and definitely don't sleep on it. We're modding it for mainly crit and status, viral hunters munitions. I do have a Riven in here, but if you don't have a Riven, I'd probably recommend replacing this with something like Vigilante armaments. Quickly glossing over our focus school, we are of course using Madurai again. The bonus strength is of course great for this build, but I actually prefer it for the casting speed, because having a faster casting speed means that the animation for throwing out the surging blades is way faster and effectively increases our DPS. It just makes the build feel way better, and I'll be honest, I can't really use this build without having that bonus casting speed. And another huge player for our DPS here is actually the Nautilus Sentinel for its grouping mechanic. Being able to group enemies up in hordes allows us to make through the huge punch through from the blades. So maybe if you haven't got good access to, enemies funneling down a corridor and you're in a bigger room, the Nautilus is going to group them together and allow you to spread that DPS across multiple enemies at once. Not only huge for your Surging Blades throws, but also for building that damage when you get in close with the Sigma and Octantis as well. I think what's super exciting about this setup is that there's even a high chance I could potentially revisit it and make it better. Simply because Doom the Dark Ages hasn't released yet and we don't fully know what the game has to offer in terms of Doomslayer's abilities and weaponry. I wouldn't say I necessarily find Rhino particularly boring, but he isn't a frame I play too much, and this setup is definitely a ton of fun. I'll be sure to leave you guys with not only the Doom Dark Ages inspired fashion, but also my take on a more classic, Doom Eternal or Doom 2016 looking Rhino, and I'll leave you with a little bit more of the gameplay. And also let me know what you're most excited to try in the new Doom game. Me personally, it's definitely the shield with that sort of flail mace that it's coming with. And let's be honest, I'm also super stoked about the soundtrack. If it's good, you'll definitely hear me using it on this channel. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the setup. I'll leave you the rest of the gameplay, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.